My mum was born in the year 1950, and she went to a religious college in Rexburg, Idaho. She was with some friends one night at her house. There were probably about 15 people there, and no one was drinking or doing hard drugs. They had just had dinner and were hanging out playing games. Someone brought out a Ouija board, and since this was years and years and years ago, no one really knew as much about them as we did today. So, a lot of people didn't know that they should have stayed away from it. My mum said she didn't participate, but she sat next to them and watched. I have to say, my mum told me this story many times and the details never changed, and she's not a person who'll make things up, so I have no reason to doubt this story's authenticity. So my mum's watching about 8 of the 15 people use the Ouija board. They're asking a lot of questions, and it's getting moved around. But with so many people, she didn't know if someone was moving it, or if it was real. There was a girl that my mum didn't know very well who was there, and she was getting really into the Ouija board. They knew there were certain kinds of questions they probably shouldn't ask, but this girl started asking really specific ones. They started out pretty innocent as Ouija boards can be, I suppose, and then the girl started asking questions about demons and wanting to see dead people and know the future. They're a bunch of religious people, so they were starting to get quite freaked out and wanted to stop. But the girl didn't want to stop, and asked a few more questions, which at this point I can't really recall what they were. But she refused to stop. They finally all convinced her that they needed to, right before they were able to say goodbye. She didn't ask a question, she said, and this is the part I'll never forget, "I want to see you." Before they could say goodbye, the planchette moved to yes. Everyone started losing it. They said goodbye and put the Ouija board away and started playing charades to kind of lighten the mood. While the game was being played, the girl just happened to be sitting closest to the door. My mum said she was sitting on the other side of the room where she was facing the door, so she would be face to face with this girl, but about 10 feet away. Someone knocked on the door, and since no one else was being expected, they all kind of froze. I think they were all a little freaked out by what had happened, especially the fact that this girl had gone really crazy and asked a bunch of scary questions. So after about 30 seconds of pausing, this girl gets up and goes to the door. She opens it and for some reason the porch light is out. It hadn't been out earlier. My mum said from where she stood, she could see it looked like there was a dark shadow standing right outside the door on the porch. It was just a shadow to her. There were no facial features, there was no clothing. It looked like a black thing in the shape of a person standing there. Only a few people were facing the door, so most people had their back to it and didn't see what happened. The next thing my mum knows, this girl falls to the ground and passes out. Everyone's focused on her and no one noticed that the shadow had vanished. They called an ambulance, but the girl didn't make it. She had a heart attack. At least, that's what they were told. They were given information the girl's heart just stopped. My mum never had any other experiences, or saw anyone else play with them. I've also never touched a Ouija board. I don't believe for a second anything good can come from one. The demons speaking through it may seem kinda nice because they want to catch you off your guard, but their end goal is to possess you. Some can do it quicker than others. But just playing the game, you're allowing them to speak through you and open up yourself to them. Moral of the story, don't play with the Ouija board, and if someone pulls out, leave the house.